Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again on this week's Turn of Events live interview series hosted by eventhi. I'm your host, Adelia Carrillo, CMO of eventhi. Now, Turn of Events is an interview series where we actually interview the eventhi event host community so that you all can get to know these talented individuals behind these events, talk about the event landscape, the unique experiences they each are creating online and offline, and a few tips they have learned along the way. Now, today I am so excited to have Saul Kaye joining us today. Saul has worked in the cannabis industry for the past 5 years and has enjoyed watching this industry develop from its infancy. Saul's career began over 20 years ago as a retail pharmacist. Today he manages multiple retail and online pharmacy stores with global distribution and has founded and operated a number of other businesses. Saul travels the world to educate and promote Israel's medical cannabis expertise. Now, in 2015, Saul actually founded iCan, which is israelcannabis.com, with the vision to build and develop the cannabis ecosystem in Israel. The iCan mission is to be a globally recognized Israeli company focused on the medical cannabis industry, investing in and accelerating early-stage cannabis technologies. iCan has created a portfolio of brands that are transforming the global cannabis economy and ecosystem. Now, thank you, Saul, for joining me today. We really appreciate having you here.
Thanks, Adelia, for having me.
Now, I have been a huge fan of iCan and CannaTech and everything that you guys have been doing since I've learned about you guys, about 5 years ago. And it was just been really exciting to see what you guys have been moving forward for the industry through education, through the events. It's just been so exciting to see all that you guys have been able to do. For those that maybe are learning about you for the first time, feel free to share a little bit more about who you are and what you guys do.
Sure. So, like you said, I'm a pharmacist. I come from the world of helping patients. I've had pharmacies for over 20 years, so it's a natural fit that 5 years ago, my best friend who was struggling with a condition, we landed on medical cannabis, and it's that was my moment, the spark where I said, wow, I've got a unique toolkit for this industry, delved into the chemistry and the plant and the endocannabinoid system. Absolutely love everything about this, from the illegality to the essential to just changing people's mind from the stigma around cannabis. And I went to an industry event here. It was 2015. Small event, 80 people, and I walked in. I go, wow, I know exactly what I want to do with this. So we acquired that company, which was CannaTech, and then we built it into the global ecosystem builder that it is. So we've had events in Australia, Hong Kong, Panama, South Africa, even at the World Economic Forum in Davos. So it's been a wonderful journey to, connect up and destigmatize cannabis on a global scale. Really exciting to do it. And I get to meet the most awesome people, and I get to see the most awesome operators and companies and technologies that I'm then able to leverage iCan's network of investors into some unique deals that we've done over the last 5 years.
Wow. So how many companies have you guys either invested in or, have in your ecosystem? That's a part of it.
So invested in, it's over 12 already. Yeah. And then our database is pretty robust. Our LinkedIn, our marketing, it was kind of a steal at the beginning for media attention. In Israel, there were two really large groups that got media. One was Tikkun Olam, who was the first grower in Israel, and Tikkun Olam means repair the world, and it's a wonderful story because they gave cannabis to patients for years for free. The founders both suffered. They needed to get cannabis. They got a license. and operated in that way. And they got all of the media. And the Green Party, the legalized, which was an argument that was not ready for mass media. It didn't get traction. There wasn't a Green Party in Israel. And we came along with a different story around the economics, the patients, the regulations, the science, and the investment. And those groups don't generally talk the same language. Okay. You've all of a sudden got an environment where you've got growers who are farmers, and PhD scientists, and investors, bankers coming in, and that didn't really work. So we created a language at CannaTech that I think people resonated really well with, and made a really comfortable environment for networking, an open environment, a destigmatizing environment, and that's sort of the special sauce. And people feel like they're part of the CannaTech family, part of the community, and helping to, progress cannabis across the world. So it's quite, unique.
Well, bringing those three different sectors together, I can see was probably challenging, but having that ecosystem and that safety environment is so valuable and key. And even what has already probably evolved from those relationships is probably life-changing, and there's going to be many more years of it. You guys, like you were just saying, you guys have now been able to scale CannaTech from country to country, which is exciting, and that is just a great opportunity to see and envision for the cannabis industry. So, when you and the organization, so CannaTech was that was your first event you went to, you actually invested in them, and now, have been able to propel the company. That was their initial mission, was to focus on creating cannabis events.
Well, no, CannaTech, their original event was to raise money for an ag tech company, something that did automatic watering.
Okay.
And they thought that by giving it a cannabis theme, they would attract more investors. It didn't work out that way. But for me, I've been going to conferences from my pharmaceutical side, right? Yeah. So I'm, big in the andrology, testosterone side of things. Mm-hmm. And, I went to a massive conference. Now, I don't know if there's many more boring conference spaces than andrology, right? So I saw something, this is exciting, this is, something that people love, something that talks to their heart. So we can really create an experience around it that's different from the classic conference, like an MJ Biz, which is really a real estate play. Mm-hmm. I take X amount of floor space and I sell it off at X times Y, right? Yeah. We created something where people are proud to wear our T-shirts and our swag and want to buy, whatever we have on offer. At CannaTech, we've done sunglasses and we've done hats and we've done backpacks, and people want that. They're like kind of connected to it. So, experience is everything. You look at the retail world, which is my other world, right? And you go shopping and you go now to shop for the experience and you end up buying the product at Amazon, right? Everything is the high touch at the moment. So bringing that to the conference space, and we actually won a couple of awards because the conferences were so good that people from other industries came and said, this is the best conference I've ever been to. So, we did something right. I don't know, there's some special sauce there.
So let's go a little bit more into the actual event. Obviously, we don't want to know the whole secret sauce component, but what would make it different? Is it more the type of speakers you're bringing it in? Is it entertainment? Like, let us know, what is the whole experience behind it?
So, every day is designed in agenda to bring the most out of the industry. And we were very lucky in that all of the big speakers have come to CannaTech, from Steve D'Angelo to Montel Williams to, Lorne Gertner, Bruce Linton. These people kind of made their name together. This industry is so nascent that, a guy that stands on the CannaTech stage becomes the Bruce Linton of the future, and we captured that. And I have we have a good eye of who's next in the industry and who's there from a scientific perspective. Yeah. And we were very lucky that we have Israel, where we've got so much going on, and we could bring in Professor Meshulam and Professor Meiri and really, drive that side of the conversation. And I think it's the global aspect, the fact that at the beginning, everyone was focused solely on the United States, and the rest of the world's intrigued just as much. So to provide an avenue for them to get access, and you come to a CannaTech and you've got 44 different countries represented, that's a trigger to do really good business. So that's one thing. Keep the agenda really, really top level. Keep the attendance top level, and we do that by pricing it high, which takes away the stoner element, which takes away the activist element. As much as I give to different non-for-profits, they can come for free and they can have a stand. I want to give back as much as I can, but that activist community is not the community of the business cannabis community. Mm-hmm. So keeping it really high-end, lots of alcohol, amazing locations. Mm-hmm. Every location we've done is on the water, followed by a sailing, boat tour, followed by a tour of, historical sites in Israel. In Africa, we did a wine tour and a cannabis farm. So you get to see the local industry as well as do that fun day where, we're all drinking and having fun, but you're doing it together with, some big name people who are having fun there as well. So I think those elements keep it, to a higher level. And at the beginning, I really thought about what I wanted to be. And I wanted to be, I wanted CannaTech to be an amalgamation of TechCrunch and TED, right? TED came along and they gave 18-minute snippets of the best information you could get, right? And it's a very, very successful platform. And TechCrunch came along and said, hang on, this is the tech behind it. This is where the industry can go. And cannabis is an industry where there is money for tech, because if you can optimize your grow by 10%, that's money in your pocket, right? Yeah. So there's agro-tech, there's high-tech, there's now fintech and payment tech, retail tech, all coming into cannabis. So that was very important as well.
No, I definitely agree on that component. It's like looking at it, I've had conversations before where cannabis is almost like the heart and the technology is like the brain. And you bring them together and just so much can evolve from that. And like you were saying, even too with ag tech now can help the rest of the ag tech industry. So this industry is creating a lot of technology that can be utilized in other areas and help propel and streamline and maybe, just even create a whole eco-friendly or sustainable component around a lot of products. You've been doing these events around the world, and then COVID-19 happened. What was going on at that time? Like, how did you pivot? Did you have an event coming up? Like, let's discuss what was going on.
So I think we were the first company that announced we're pushing off our event. And we moved it to June. We figured, hang on, that seems like it could be over it. We would have had now 2 events. So, huge loss to the bottom line of this year's revenue. We had to refocus and look at what does the event landscape look like in the next 12 months. Mm-hmm. Do live events come back? And if they don't, what other tools are there that can enhance the experience? And the experience ultimately comes down to, who do you get to meet? Yes, you can hear people. There's a lot of webinars. There's a lot of information from TED and Green Flower Media. And, so that was always one element. But the main element is networking, connecting, making deals, finding collaborations, and meeting interesting people. And how do you do that in the digital landscape was really what we've been trying to figure out over the last 90 days. Yeah. So we obviously launched webinars and podcasts, and we did a live digital virtual tour of the Israeli cannabis ecosystem. Also learning what are people prepared to pay And like you said before, when do people feel comfortable coming back to live events? And what if they don't?
Yeah.
So even live events have to have a digital element today. So I think we led that space very quickly into digital. Really jumped on it with great viewership. Thousands of people have seen the stuff already. And that was my main goal is number one, okay, how do we remain relevant and visible in this time, right? So I think we did that.
Yeah.
We remained relevant and visible, and even, again, became, somewhat of a leader in how to do it. Lots of testimonials behind how we did it, and you're a big part of that. I think that the technology piece you added elevated the experience over Zoom webinars, which everyone is now doing. And numbers have gone down. At the beginning, people jumped on it. Wow, we've got time. Now life's coming back to normal. So do you join as many as you did? So registrations are as high, but actual attendance is much lower. So just learning these new metrics in this space has been a real interesting journey.
Yeah. Well, even the lineup that you have been able to bring in, it's definitely been very valuable and insightful. The speakers there, it's not like a boring just online webinar. These are people that are very very informative, have a lot of insight and knowledge, and even they have a strong personality, so they can keep conversations going, which is great. And honestly, probably very hard to handle because it's a lot of different people you're bringing together. So we love what you guys have been doing with it. I think it was a success, even without our component of it. But we enjoyed, being behind the scenes, and excited to see what you guys are going to be doing more of. Now, so we're still kind of in that whole standstill of, when is going to be that next in-person event. Were the other events that you were going to have this year, were they going to be in Israel, or where were they going to be?
So it was slated this year, Israel, Thailand, Amsterdam, which would have been amazing. First real cannabis conference in the Netherlands. They've had legal cannabis for so long, or semi-legal cannabis. That was really exciting to me. It's one of my favorite places in the world.
Yeah.
And Cape Town again. So, we had a full lineup, but it's gone. So, we're moving into digital focus days like we did Israel. We'll do Latin America and Australia.
Oh, wow.
And hemp. So those are the next sort of lineup of what's coming. And I'm excited about the hemp because, there's a lot of focus on medical cannabis and not so much focus out there on hemp. And a lot of products, a lot of sponsors. And for sponsors, this is a great opportunity to get in front of consumers, and they can try your product while learning about your product and having an advertorial, keeping it at that level that we did on our Israel 360, which people said was very entertaining. It's not that boring, lecture after lecture. It felt more like a television documentary.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool. So I'm loving the digital space. I don't know if you can make as much money as live events. I'll tell you in 6 months, but I think you can make some money.
Yeah.
And right now, I think that's, very important to make something.
Yeah. Making something, you're still educating, you're staying relevant. There's a variety of components that are still very valuable, especially during this time. And I think too, a lot of people are appreciative of that, to keep them busy. And again, we need the more education we can have around the cannabis space is very vital for this industry. Now, we've already kind of mentioned the Israeli 360 CannaTech event. I want to kind of go more into the lineup of that event. Were a lot of these speakers from previous events? Were you trying to bring in new speakers? Like, how did you come up with that lineup of individuals?
So when I think about an agenda, I frame it like, what does the consumer want to get out of this, right? So they need some basic education. So who would do that? It's in Israel, the Office of Innovation, or companies like Deloitte, who can give a industry overview. Then you want to excite them with a little bit of science and medicine, right? So we went obviously to Professor Meshulam and the Hebrew University, Dedi Meiri at the Technion, and then you bring in some of the innovation throughout. So what are the innovative companies that exist? Who are the players? And most of these people are now my friends. So, putting an agenda like that together was a lift. But, people also were in the same situation we were. They all of a sudden weren't at work. What do they do? How do they stay relevant? And we had an offering that allows them to do that and showcase their company. And we built a digital interface on our CannaTech website where we provided a digital hotspot for each company. Those have been clicked on and contacted, each one over 2,000 times. So we had over 25,000 business interactions developed from, the pieces of technology that we put together. And then there's a few, ex-prime ministers in Israel who are active on cannabis company boards. So I picked up the phone to them and said, I need you guys. And they were more than happy to jump in. They love this industry. When they were prime minister, this was illegal. Now they're all of a sudden, pro-cannabis. Go figure. Show me the money.
Yeah. So, what did you guys learn though? Because was that essentially your first really big virtual event? Because that was global. That had a huge audience. What did you learn from hosting a virtual event?
There are always going to be tech challenges, and cannabis really helps before. I think we were 2 minutes about to go in, and everything crashed. So tech is always going to be an issue. It just is part of life. Even our webinars, I've had cutouts. I'm doing this right now on my phone because my internet at home is sucky at the moment. So it's a challenge. Don't freak out. The consumer's very forgiving, I guess is what I learned. They're forgiving if there's a time gap between things, if something loads, if they don't understand the platform. We were using Crowdcast, and I think when you have used it once, you love it. You know where the agenda is, you know where the chat is. It's very interactive, but the first time you come in, if you got a link to the agenda item number 1, and we've already jumped to agenda 3, they get a blank screen, they freak out, they contact you, and this is all going on while you're live, right? So have backup support. We had a great team here, Chaim and Carrie. You guys had your team, and together you're then able to deal with that rampage of incoming that comes from this, where people can't connect and people are having trouble, but giving that live support again, is that high-touch element that really, I think, made the big difference for us. Yeah,
that was our most stress, no matter how many times we did tech tests, too. So that's the other thing. We did so many tech tests, and we still had it. I think it was even 30 seconds until the event was about to start.
Yeah, Carrie was freaking out. So these are the lessons. It's going to happen. You can't even prepare for it. Think about maybe redundancy and backups and backup Wi-Fi's, but it happens, but people are very forgiving.
Yeah, that's definitely, I agree. That's one thing that I'm seeing a lot more. And they start to, as a lot of the attendees get familiar with these different platforms, they start even, refresh your page or do that. They start helping as well, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that in the chat. Hey, go there, do that. It's really great. Yeah, the engagement was phenomenal. Just the chat on Crowdcast is so much more engaging than the Zoom chat. And we've done, 400 people events on Zoom and 400 people on Crowdcast, and Crowdcast engagement is 1,000 times better.
I'm still trying to figure out why. I wonder if it's just the visual component, or it's just it reminds.
It's the UX.
Yeah.
The chat's always up on Zoom. You can choose if it's up or if it's down.
That's true.
It's always there. It's in front of you. It's popping up messages. It's fun and interactive. Zoom is. They didn't gamify it. Really. No, it's part of. Yeah.
That's true. That is true. So now let's talk a little bit about iCan. When you went to that first cannabis event, was iCan already a vision or already a company at that time, or did that also evolve around the same time?
No, we figured we were going to open a cannabis company. My pharma company is called Israel Farm.
Okay.
Which, I said, let me put in an application for a business name, Israel Cannabis. I said, there's no way they'll give it to me.
Yeah.
Right? So I put in iCan, Israel Cannabis. They gave it to me. So we became iCan. And, our slogan is, because I can. Why? Because I can. Right? And it really is the essence of what we do. Every one of us can become an influencer, a disruptor. You can simply get involved in the industry. People call me and email me and LinkedIn me all the time. How do I get into the industry? Just, put one foot in front of the other and get in. There is no way. I didn't know how I was getting into the industry. It was an industry I didn't know, but I had tools that were applicable. So iCan was conceived as the holding company, and then it was going to build out assets underneath.
And when going to the iCan website, there's a lot of informative content. What would they be able to see there?
So we have our incubator program and our services division. So incubation is very strong in Israel. It's usually backed by government funding, where we take an idea from concept all the way through to commercialization.
Okay.
And I've done that in the pharma world, so it was a natural fit. Our consulting arm does everything from business strategy to investment decks to design, marketing, PR. We're globally connected. We've got a robust database, so we can help accelerate companies with best-in-class operators that, we know through our network, which has been really, great. So we get this incubation, and then we can showcase them at CannaTech, find new companies to incubate, and it's a cycle that we get to recreate over and over again.
Well, and then depending on your portfolio, I'm sure it's probably a diverse portfolio. They get to then help each other as well. Those different companies connect the dots, and they all evolve.
Exactly. And I built my portfolio from the perspective that if I've got a product and our next product that we're releasing is an eye drop with cannabinoids, very exciting product, I have companies in Latin America, Australia, South Africa, Canada, United States, and Europe that I've invested in ready to help commercialize those products. So hopefully that strategy will play out over time, and we get to go really quickly into multiple jurisdictions with our product. So that was the concept.
Now, you guys are hosting an upcoming event around hemp. Is that also an industry that obviously it's an industry you're interested in. Is that an industry of companies you're looking to invest in as well?
So in Israel, hemp is cannabis.
Okay.
Marijuana of 0.3 or above, the distinction doesn't exist here. So we actually have a lot more ability to do hemp research on strains that are not less than 0.3. But the whole hemp industry, there's a natural progression in cannabis from medicalization to legalization, and then at the same time the parallels happening in the hemp world. And we know hemp really from the CBD side, which is a huge commercial side, but the hemp industry, the same fundamentals that existed for me in cannabis, which is there's innovation to be done, there's people who don't understand it, and it's now legal since the Farm Bill passed in the US, and it's legal in Europe. Why don't as many people know about it? So the CBD revolution is helping people to learn that, hey, I should be using hemp milk, and maybe I want to make my non-meat burger from hemp protein, and I want to build my house from hemp fruit. So those tech pieces are coming to play inside hemp as well, and obviously the companies we know from that space are the large CPGs like Charlotte's Web and Elixinol, and companies that want to get their product in front of consumers. So bringing that to the hemp space, I think, is a natural progression.
Sure. Now, I'm excited on especially on the industrial side of the hemp sector. Like you said, hempcrete. Even I heard there was batteries being made out of hemp now, and I can't wait to see how that evolves even further on so many levels. So, looking at the bigger picture, why do you believe events are vital for the cannabis industry?
It's very easy. Over $4 billion has happened at CannaTech events. So that's why we do it, right? You come, you meet the right people, you get a deal which progresses your company further along. So there are events where it's about awareness and you want your product in front of eyeballs, and there are events where it's industry focused, where you can meet the right people. You need an agronomist. I mean, I know a company in Australia came to CannaTech, picked up an agronomist, flew them back to set up their facility, right? So it goes down to the single person getting a job all the way up to the canopy acreage deal where they met at CannaTech. And that's why I do it. Yeah. Connecting people is the way to propel this industry forward.
Yeah, that's true. Now, you mentioned that you have a couple events, and we've kind of already talked a little bit about them. When is your next upcoming event for CannaTech, whether it's online or offline? I'm assuming online.
So we do a weekly webinar, which has been great. We've been segmenting that into various portions of the industry and keeping it really focused. Our next big digital event is our hemp event, which is going to be August 4th. We hope to have 3,000-4,000 attendees at that, and we're playing around with the ability to ship people product. So that they can have that high-touch experience element as well, but we're waiting to see what happens with international shipping and logistics and things like that, which might complicate it at this time. But I'm in the international shipping through my pharma company, and it is stable, it is happening. The supply chain isn't disrupted. You're not going to your supermarket, there's not anything on the shelves. Like, everything is working. It is a little bit slower and a little more complicated and a little more expensive. So we're toying with that, and we're toying with the idea of hosted live events in, let's say, 20 cities, and at that point 20 people are allowed to gather. So 20 cities, 20 people, 50 cities, 50 people. So you could host a CannaTech in your city, and I see it happening in San Francisco and LA, Toronto, New York, Sydney, Australia, and all on the same day. And you get to mix with the industry professionals, get out of your house after months of isolation, have a cocktail on me, and watch and enjoy the content. So that's, I think, where the event space is going, even when it comes back to live events. As opposed to digital events, people don't yet feel comfortable. You mentioned a statistic earlier that 50% of attendees to events are not comfortable going to events right now. So I certainly wouldn't go to a soccer game or a basketball game. I would go maybe to a small wedding or bar mitzvah. So I think that's the style that you need to generate.
Yeah. Well, and I think that'll be an interesting model for a lot of us, or especially like a lot of your events are bigger scale, so it'll allow you to test these more intimate gatherings. The 20 events in 20 states or cities is a great way to test that and to evolve the community even further. When it comes to your in-person events, are these invite only, or anybody can buy a ticket? Obviously, I know the price tag is a little is higher, and they'd have to travel, but anybody can attend?
Yep. Anyone can buy a ticket. You can apply for a discount if you're a student, PhD student, activist. We're usually pretty generous. But yeah, I think that price point has really kept the caliber high, so we didn't do it invite only.
Cool. Now, where can viewers learn more about you or iCan, and even about the upcoming events if they wanted to tune in?
I guess on our CannaTech website, which is canna-tech.co. I remember when the URLs came out to .tech, and I applied to Canada.tech, and they announced and said you were the second person to want it, so I didn't get that. So Canna-tech.co, we've got all our webinars there. You can view whatever we've had in the past, and we'll keep people updated. Our newsletter goes out every week. We've got over 30,000 people that it goes out to. And obviously Facebook, we're pretty active. Insta, we're active. And LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been singularly the best tool for me and CannaTech. Over Facebook, we've got a nice large following, but LinkedIn, it's so targeted to that business sector, to the C-level executive. It's definitely performed for us. And again, if your event is rec focused and consumer focused, you want to be more on probably TikTok and Instagram right now. And if your demographic is my age, you want to be on Facebook. If it's young, you want to be on Instagram. And you have to play around with the different platforms, and you have to play around with the pricing. And I think everyone is. I've seen everywhere up to $300, $400 for a digital event, and I don't know how many consumers are doing that. And we tried a price point of $36. I think it was, fairly well accepted. And I see $49 and $99. So I think everyone's playing around with what does a consumer feel comfortable. And I think as they get further away from live events, they'll become a little more comfortable paying for some online content.
Yeah. Well, I think too, if people start to realize, okay, I'm saving money here. I'm not, getting a hotel room. I'm not doing this. And even looking at it from going to back to the hemp event, those kits, let's say, they do get the ticket with the kit. Even if they don't get it on time because of shipping delays, there's the replay mode. So there's a lot of different variables too that actually can help, that just incentivize even getting that kit as a whole. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Is there any final words or tips you would like to share with the audience?
Look around. There are so many tech pieces that can add value to the user experience. Put the user at the center, right? So your consumer is someone that went to a live event before, right? And they went there for a reason. It's either to meet people, to learn something, to experience something new, and do that digitally, because it's the same consumer and they want the same things. So you have to be able to provide that. So, we've tied a whole bunch of tech together, probably in a messy way if we had time to organize it and think about it. But the digital community is a very important element, and we didn't mention it, but we launched a digital app with a partner, which is Hoover, who've been used at thousands of live events, and the engagement there again is very, very high. So think not just like what everyone else is doing. Think outside the box. There's so many tools. I've seen some live virtual event spaces where there are booths and you walk around halls and things like that. It's all about that user experience. If you can provide a new experience that's better than what your competitor is doing, and that's not hard, because I've tuned into hundreds of webinars and events on Crowdcast, on Zoom, and the quality is sometimes so low. So you don't have to do too much to really elevate yourself above the rest. Putting that consumer at the center, I think, will give that difference.
That's true. Very true. Well, thank you again, Saul, for joining us today. And thank you all for tuning in to this week's Turn of Events. This is our weekly event series about the eventhi event host community. So please stay tuned for our next upcoming interview. And we hope you all stay safe, stay healthy, and stay high.